So this is where I left off at the end of the last film, before I launched into a wonderfully formulated and delivered lecture about what my art is about and my ideas about it. But that gives me the opportunity to show you my famous Schaufenster, which is called Kunsthalt, as I said. It can be read in many different ways. You can say stop Kunst, or it's just Kunst, I mean it's just art, or it's like art, you know, art like, okay. So here we've got that. And in this Schaufenster you see my advertising for myself, and then you see a lot of white rocks. Picture of a white rock, the one from Forolio from this summer. More white rocks organized into like a printer's, what do you know, I don't know how you call these things. Here you can see them, a lot of reflections. It's really, huh? Maybe like this, yeah. Here, more white rocks in a plate on a table. Here's the white rock that was in the picture. And a few more white rocks organized onto shelves with my signature on the last one. Unfortunately, with this camera I can't zoom in. Okay, and here we have on a piece of wood, written directly with chalk and graphite, my motto in German, which is Form entsteht, Form vergeht, das Licht riecht nach Erde. You translate it again, that's form appears, form disappears. The light smells like earth. And speaking of formulations, this is the last edition, more like the completion to this particular exhibition. It's a piece of brass which I darkened with candle black, and then I stamped the letters in with rubber stamps. I have several alphabets. The title is Kunsthalt, and I'll read the German and then translate it. It says, "Why does the world of being not smile at us? Because it doesn't want anything from us. If we want meaning, form, order, beauty, then we have to create that ourselves." And I just realized that I translated before I read it in German, so in German it's Kunst halt. Warum lächelt uns die Welt des Seins nicht an? Weil sie nichts von uns will. Wollen wir Sinn, Form, Ordnung, Schönheit, müssen wir das schon selbst schaffen. So this is a very tricky place to film because there's a dentist's office right next door and people keep coming and going in and out. Anyway, I wanted to show you and read this particular statement because it kind of it's an attempt to bring certain terms in relationship. And the idea is not to split the world into, let's say, meaning and being, but just to pose them as polar opposites in order to create a tension and let the things come into movement, whatever it is, into a process. And this process, you can call it art, you can call it life, it's the same actually. And in my Schaufenster, what I'm trying to do, instead of showing framed pictures, which I have so many of, I'm trying to put elements of the process, make them visible, and these are the access points to the process, and people can go into their own processes. So they're kind of complete the work in the sense of the working, and not to work in the sense of artwork. You know, at the end you have a finished piece, and that's what it's all about. Here it's about something else. And like I said, I haven't come to any final formulation. I keep trying, like the first one, Formen steht, vom vergeht. This is one way to formulate it. This other thing about the world of being, not wanting anything from us, because as far as things are concerned, they just are. I can say this exists. Of course we know what a table is, but it also just exists as whatever it is. And in that I say that it exists, I also say I exist. And this shows the circularity of language and of our talking about things, about reality, about being. The world of being, as I call it, in German, Sein or Dasein, is, like I said, it's just there. And you go into nature, you see things, you say they're beautiful, nice colors, this, that, and the other thing, but these are things that we've defined and that we need for our own frame of reference. And somebody is just going into the store and probably looking at me askance. Anyway, so why German? Because when you use other languages, you can structure information, you can structure your thoughts differently through the syntax, through the terms, the ideas. And German is very good. For example, I can say I've split the world into Sinn and Sein, meaning and being. Sinn and Sein, that sounds very similar, so I like that they kind of like overlap a little bit, whereas in meaning and being, okay, you've got the ing at the end, and a rhyme, and meaning, being, this is okay too, but Sinn and Sein, it has a particular elegance, and this elegance is even more evident if I say Dasein and Design. And Dasein, this is existence, Da-Sein, Sein is being, Da is there, being there, and Design, Dasein and Design. So Sein und Sinn again. And design is, of course, one has designs, one has intentions, and one means to do something. And so this is the world of meaning again, of Sinn. Now let me look at how much time I've got left. Oh, that's interesting. The viewpoint, 8. I've got another 4 minutes. So this working in the garden and the art, which I'm trying to bring together, although it seems like I'm splitting them, I'm saying here's, on the one hand you've got meaning, here you've got being. It's not to make a distinction, but rather to kind of, like I said, set up an axis, and polar, you can call it a polar axis if you like, so positive, negative, therefore tension, and what it brings into movement is what it's all about. In German, the word garden is Garten, which replaces the D with the T. So in the German word for garden, you've got the word art built into it, Garten, so Kindergarten, for example. You've got art in it, and so I like how this fits in. So I may start distinguishing between the studio talks per se in the studio and the Garten talks, which are in the garden. So there's my landlord and friend Alex looking at his his ink cartridges. He has a copy shop, and he's the one who rents me this for 10 euros a month. He's a really nice guy and doesn't know much about art, doesn't understand it, but I think he appreciates what I do, even though it's strange for him and it's even a bit strange for me. Although what we're seeing here, these are things that I had like this practically in my apartment for months and sometimes years. The stones all come from the Tessin, from Val Calnegia, white quartz, which I picked for their whiteness, and the ones that have a little bit of other colors in it, I leave them. And let's see, somebody's going to the dentist. And here's another sign, I should maybe read that too. It says, en montagne au Tessin, Jeannot aimait aller au lit de la rivière ramasser des pierres blanches après l'orage. Which means, in the mountains, in the Tessin, Jeannot liked to go to the riverbed and pick white stones after the storm. Jeannot, this is the name I had as a little kid, like before 5 years old. This aspect of squatting and looking for stones, it's very childlike. I'm dressed in white as well. And it's still going, so I'm going to just show you more the rock. This is the one from Foroglio this summer. Really beautiful. This interesting, a lot of reflection. And we can